been superb on the Euro Tour this year. Dan Dawson in the commentary box alongside Paul Nicholson. And after, 2 semi-finals and a final this year, as well as the final of the last European Tour event last year, Jelle Klaasen is one man to watch on the European Tour.
Yeah, he seems to like the European Tour, especially more over the last 18 months, I think. He's got used to the whole rhythm of when to play and when to get ready, and he's always been a manic practicer, but I think he seems to peak very well for these events.
93.
I echo what you were saying earlier about the earrings, because I think Jelle's more Cristiano Ronaldo, and Dirk is more Duran.
77.
Well, there you go. Eloquently summed up by Paul Nicholson. That's why we have him on the commentary panel. Jelle Klaasen.
180.
2 good darts, sandwiching a pretty ropey one in the 4.
He's still calling the Ulf chant even in this game.
Well, you get the feeling it's going to stick, don't you? Whether Ulf Cedar is in the tournament or not, they'll be chanting Ulf, Ulf, Ulf all the way through till tomorrow night.
Well, I'm going to call him the Ulf of Wall Street. That's my nickname for him. Oh, Klaasen, first leg.
97.
Very good stuff.
60.
Under 100 after 12. That's steady stuff. Single 20 and tops will give him the first leg. So a couple of adjustments with the dart. No problem. 15 dart at the start will pretty much win you most legs.
Well, the Cobra, 32 years old, former Lakeside world champion, of course.
140.
And a man who has really returned to form over the last couple of years in the PDC, but has had these struggles with his wrist, tendinitis. I don't know, I haven't spoken to Jelle, so I don't know what stage he's at. He was looking at getting surgery on it this month and potentially bringing it forward, but he's here and he's playing, so I assume that he hasn't done that. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to throw his darts.
The last thing I heard, he was going to do this event and Gibraltar and then miss Milton Keynes the week after. And because there's a bit of a break after Milton Keynes, you got things like the World Cup, which it's looking like he's not going to be part of because there'll be MVG and Raymond van Barneveld by the looks of it. He's got a bit of a window there to get it fixed and then come back and get himself ready for Blackpool.
At least some rest for it. Whether it'll be enough, as the doctors recommend, I very much doubt. But
well, I've had tendinitis in my wrist, and I was told to put my darts down for a period of 6 weeks. Otherwise, it would get worse. Jelle hasn't done that. He's just kept going and going, so he needs the surgery now. But he's still playing really well.
105.
Well, down to 65. Dirk van Duijvenbode saw Jermaine Watermena yesterday in one of only 2 games that went the distance. 6-5 he won it. He's given himself a chance here. Ton 40 leads 60, but Jelle Klaasen, desperate to see this hit the 25. That is not what he wanted. Only gets the 1 dart at double 6. And 1 dart is not enough for the Cobra. The Titan to level the game. Tops. 10s.
40.
Well, he did move for the tops, but he chose not to move back for double 10. He's ruining that decision, but Klaasen now has 1 route and 1 route only. That's 1 double 1. Madhouse, not so mad. The Cobra strikes 2-0 to Jelle Klaasen.
Well, Dirk averaged 94 yesterday as Jelle. Unable to produce the 180. And in qualifying the night before, he was superb. I mean, he only dropped 2 legs in 3 games. So if the likes of RJ Rod number 2, Robert John Rodriguez, Michael Tafner, Alessandro Conte.
44.
But to do that, he evidently must be in some decent form. He seemed to show that again against Watermena with 11 legs and averaging in the mid-90s.
He started the match mega. Really, really well. And then Watermena came back at him and he could have lost the match, but fair play to the DVD man. He played a brilliant last leg and thoroughly deserved the victory.
Well, even if he plays at that level, it may not be enough to see off Jelle Klaasen with how he has played so far on the European Tour. Dirk van Duijvenbode has been around for a number of years now. He's still only 24. He's a young man, but he's too old for the development tour. So he's had his last year on that. He has not claimed a title of any sort in the PDC. Not Challenge Tour 1, not a Development Tour 1. He's been in quite a number of finals, but he's not gone on and actually won one.
He's had a 9-darter though, wasn't he?
He has had a 9-darter relatively recently, in fact. But the frustrating thing for Dirk, and indeed his supporters, must be that there's evidently a talent there, and he's given it a go. He's played for a number of years and played a lot of darts. There we go. There's a little cabal of Dutchmen watching on, including the Black Cobra, Jeffrey Jan Dekker down there as well. 6 for tops. Double 10.
36.
Making things a little bit tricky, Jelle Klaasen.
When you say cabal of Dutch darting talent, you mean they're going to take over the world?
Well, I mean, certainly there's one of them that seems intent on doing so.
Using the word cabal. You've been watching the Blacklist, haven't you?
That is not one, the one behind, the one in the green shirt. I know it looks like one, but it's not in. Tops, next to it, ones. And he's going to do it last time.
It's like a Dutch mafia. And Dirk is part of that mafia, because he's still playing. Tops, a 2-1 down.
40.
That one was a bit of a flyer.
No score.
But he's going to come straight back in a flash.
40.
Wow, this is not pretty. Oh, well, eventually, Dirk van Duijvenbode, this is a man who comes on stage and bounces around in one of the most aggressive walk-ons in world darts, and he just held his hands up in apology at winning that leg. Such was the standard that we had, and importantly, it's a break.
I said yesterday in his match with Jermaine Wattimena that I think when he's pumped up, he's a better player.
85.
The whole reasoning behind his walk-on of tungsten delicious techno,
80.
that's the best compliment I can give it.
Right, yeah.
Is that when he gets on stage and he's got the blood pumping around his veins, he seems to find a bit of adrenaline, and that brings the best out of his matches. When he's playing subdued like he kind of is now, he just doesn't seem to be able to get going.
It is very difficult, though. You get stuck in a bit of a rut, don't you? If you are a player that seems to play better when you're fired up, and the example I always give is Kim Hyde.
96.
It's very difficult to artificially fire yourself up when you're not playing well. If you're only throwing an 80 average,
97.
then it's very difficult to start bouncing around and yelling and shouting the odds, because you don't really feel that it merits it.
80.
Yeah, there's a definite difference between aggression and being brilliant, or genuinely just being angry because you're not playing well.
140.
Now then, 140 isn't going to go, but Jelle Klaasen, after
62.
struggling on the doubles in the previous leg,
44.
is unable to take out a big one of his own.
I'm surprised by that. 144, you can have 2 treble 18s and double 18, which we both know he really does favour.
And he does. Let's see if Dirk can level this match on double top.
58.
He can't.
Really require 87.
And Jelle Klaasen would love to have a go at double 18 here. And he does get a go at double 18. Over for double 9.
78.
He's recently been trying to stay off double 18 and leave tops because it breaks down a little bit more simply. And maybe he's not quite as practiced on what was his favourite double beforehand.
There was another apology there from Dirk. And I'm not a fan of the apology. You know, early part of my career, I might have done a few of the hand gestures and...
Oh, you did certainly did
and apologise.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They were
I remember a few hand gestures.
140.
But I've seen a lot of it from James Wade. I've seen it from Dirk today. There's been other guys who do it a lot, and I don't like it. Because I think when you're up there, you've got to beat your opponent. Whether you beat them in 24 darts or 10 darts. It doesn't matter. You've just got to be better than him right now. So don't apologise. Just get on with it.
I'm all for massive celebrations after a 25 dart leg. Just really get in their face. I've won that in 25 darts and you couldn't. That's the best chance you're going to have to win a leg off me today.
No better way to hammer it home, say.
Well, yeah.
I won a terrible leg.
Yeah. I was rubbish and I was still better than you. Why not? Although, to be fair, Jelle has gone off the boil after the opening couple of legs, and Dirk has come back into this, and maybe one of these guys can just almost sleepwalk through to the third round here, because it's not electric stuff right now. It could catch light, though. It could catch light.
Good timing from Dirk. Great time to put in a 180 and put pressure on this for Klaasen.
43.
Just doesn't seem to be happening. There doesn't seem to be a lot of rhythm with Jelle's throw today. In the middle part of the game, but this could be leg over. Ooh, right in the wire. Great effort. If you're going to have a sticky patch, you'd rather have it now than right at the end of the game.
78. Dirk requires 16.
Yeah, well, there's time for him to turn it around, but oh my word, he's bust his score, and we've seen that before from Dirk van Duijvenbode. Vincent van der Voort would have something to say about that, I'm sure.
Oh, is he going to go the bullseye, do you think? No.
No, he is not. Treble for double, because he loves double 19, Jelle Klaasen. He's a big fan of hitting 2 of those for a 76 finish. Only needed the 1 on this occasion, pins it well, and just stops the rot. But that is a big let-off, because Dirk van Duijvenbode should have had more darts for the leg, busting with his first one.
100.
I'm a big fan of using the 19s a lot. There's a lot more guys are doing it nowadays. Things like 114 finish. Single leaves 95.
140.
That's exactly what Jelle's just done. Treble and double. 133 is another one. Treble 19, double 19, double 19.
43.
It seems like a bit of a Hollywood shot or an exhibition shot, but when you look at the size of the segments, it makes sense.
And they're ones you're regularly going for. You know, if you block off the path to the treble 20, I know some players move to the 18s by preference, but the majority of them move to the 19s as Klaasen fires in his first maximum. So if you're going for that target a lot, then you should be comfortable. It's just that double. Do you put the practice in on the double 19 as much?
Well, you should. You should practice
45.
the doubles that you don't necessarily go for as often, more than the ones that you do. Because you never know when you might need it.
Yeah, we've seen titles won on strange doubles. And titles won on double 1.
60.
Well, the late great Phil Nixon was noted for his ability to hit double 7. Especially under pressure.
100. Dirk requires 124.
Dirk van Duijvenbode missed darts to take a 3-2 lead. He is not going to get a go at a double from 1-2-4. And that means that Jelle Klaasen could re-establish a 2-leg cushion here.
24.
Double 10 for the Cobra.
Jelle required 20.
Shaking his head. He's not happy with how this is going. But he can't really complain with that scoreline.
Sometimes you've got to win ugly.
Game on.
If you can win brilliantly and win ugly as well,
96.
well, makes it pretty dangerous.
Yeah, well, I mean, having seen Alan Norris and Christo Reyes, the 2 seeded players in action so far, both go out of the tournament, then Jelle Klaasen should be thanking his lucky stars that his unseeded opponent here has not taken all the chances that have been offered to him. Not as yet, anyway. And we'll see if he can jump on a few more if the Cobra offers any up.
100.
He does seem in quite a generous mood today, Jelle.
You can see from that camera angle just how
94.
lovely and straight they fly. In his early career, he used to have a longer stem and shorter barrel and pear-shaped flight.
Well, yeah.
He was away from the game for a little bit, and he came back with completely unconventional darts, which have got more waves in them than a, Kelly Slater surfing competition. And then a big flight which seems to have straightened everything up.
95.
And when he's on, he can get them very close together. He can nestle those things brilliantly.
Well, he's a man who completely rebuilt his throw, and you do wonder how much of that has played a role in the injury that he's suffering. But he maintained while he was doing it that it was going to make him a more consistent and a more reliable player, and the results have completely backed that up. But the price he has paid in this Faustian deal to become a top 10 player in the world has been this injury with which he struggled for a few months now, and we don't really know how serious this is going to be. But he has shown, particularly on the European Tour, at the start of this year, and indeed throughout the last 2 years, really, it's only Michael van Gerwen who keeps ending his dreams in most European Tour events.
Unfortunately, everybody's got someone like that.
100.
Look through the history of the sport. Phil Taylor ruined the dreams of Dennis Priestley many a time, and Peter Manley, and quite a few others.
74.
Yes.
Dirk record 130.
Now then, Dirk. Big moment this. Needs the treble. Doesn't get it. And Jelle Klaasen, well, presumably, tops is the thing that will change your game, because it breaks down to double 10. That's why you keep leaving it as opposed to the double 18, and this time it does work. He's one leg away from a place in the third round with James Wade or Mark Webster.
60.
He's been pretty decent on double 10 today, Jelle.
And third time he's hit it.
One of the things about Jelle's game that I've admired a lot over the years is just his sheer enthusiasm for the sport. But there's something in his demeanour today. He looks a little bit downhearted or downbeat for some reason. Could be anything, something that's happened in the back room.
60.
Maybe just feeling a bit tired today. We are about a few months into the season where we've played a lot of darts. Sometimes you just have an off day. But I tell you what, if you can win on an off day, that makes you a good pro.
Well, I think it's probably to do with his performance level. It's difficult to be up there happy and bouncing around when you're averaging 80. But then again, you look at the legs for column and it's 5 and he's 1 away. And that is the only stat that matters.
93.
Another thing that could have contributed towards Jelle's injury problems is just the sheer amount he practices. I don't think I've ever met anybody who practices as avidly and as aggressively as he does. Maybe Michael Smith, but he's got quite an aggressive throw, Jelle. There's a lot of snap in the wrist and the elbow. And when he's doing that,
43.
like he has for the last 10 years, there are circumstances where it may potentially do something to you. I was going to give him the big fanfare there, but he didn't want to hit the 60. He didn't want to do a Dirk.
No, he certainly didn't.
100.
And, okay, he didn't get a match start in the last visit, but he does get one now, and he only needs the one. Dirk van Duijvenbode's tournament comes to an end, and Jelle Klaasen is through to the final day of action on the European Tour.